Hey, Shalom family, first and foremost, all praises, all honor, all glory to the Most High Yahweh. And we do this in the name of His Son, who the world calls Jesus Christ, Yahweh Shai. I want to say the water to you brothers and sisters that prayed for me. I'm feeling a lot better. And with that being said, I'm right back to it. I wanted to show you guys something strange that took place in Brooklyn, New York, underneath a synagogue, no less. I don't know what Amalek is up to, but it's suspicious, and I'm gonna show you why. I'm gonna show you the initial report, and then I'm gonna let another reporter, I don't know if you've heard of a channel called Redacted, but I'm gonna let him do a lot of the legwork, and his explanation is going to, it's going to illustrate why I think that these are very suspicious actions on their part. We got to be circumspect in these last days. Wisdom is going to be the stability of our times, and it's wise to never trust our enemy. We know that kids are going missing. We know about the human trafficking that's going on, where our young sisters are being shipped off to God knows where, and, evil things are being done to them, to our young boys as well. But without further ado, we're going to get into this footage. I want y'all to make sure that y'all like, share, make sure that you subscribe. If you want to support the ministry, please feel free to do so via Cash App, $Ashrakal. You can also join the ministry. If you wish to do so, hit us up at fireofgodclassroom@gmail.com. Again, fireofgodclassroom@gmail.com. It's time for all of us to get up off the couch and get on them streets and do that work. The Most High said that we're gonna be watchmen in these last days, so let's be watchful for the nation. Watch this.
Another lacking, all black, don't draw attention, cause it's just not enough room in this small city. Cleaning crew is out to get you, can you dodge 50? 50-50 odds, hear the applause and the black ripping through the avenues and the parks full of guys chilling at the bar, cause mama boyfriend Ron tripping through their hearts with what he doing after dark, and mama working late and she don't know cause they don't have the heart. It's safe to say in them shoes, they dark in them. Swim the shore before the whales and the sharks get them. So many bodies in them waters, you ain't gotta swim them. You on the shoulders of the fallen, trying to outlive them.
So look, family, this is the article from BBC News. It's another one from NBC New York that we might look at. But this one says 9 members of the New York Hasidic Jewish community have been arrested and charged over a secret tunnel that connected to historic synagogue. They fought police after city officials and leaders of the Chabad Lubavitch headquarters came too close to the tunnels. I think it's supposed to say TOO, but it says they came too close to the tunnel. The men are charged with criminal mischief, a reckless endangerment, and obstructing government administration. A spokesperson for the Chabad called them a group of extremist students. The tunnels were built under a prominent street in Brooklyn, where the Chabad Lubavitch headquarters are located. The building is one of the most significant Jewish sites in the city. City inspectors were called to the Chabad on Monday to conduct an emergency structural inspection. There were looming concerns that the illegal tunnel could have caused damage to the famous property. A brawl broke out after police found a group of young men blocking efforts to inspect and fill the tunnel with cement. Some of the men then broke through the wall of the prayer space. Those acts led to the arrest. But I'm not going to read the whole article. What I'm going to do is show you the footage because there's more reports on it. And we just want to kind of take a look at these things. Now is the time where we want to be circumspect and be aware of all the strange things happening around us. So shout out to the brothers and sisters that's in New York City. Keep your head on a swivel for sure.
Yo. Well, if you had on your 2024 bingo card hidden Jewish tunnels under New York City, then you are winning at life because you just nailed it. This is really, I have to think, the most bizarre story I've heard in a very long time. But I think it could potentially, we don't know yet, it could really have potentially really troubling pieces of this story as they come out here. And we have a lot of questions. We have a lot of questions about this story. First, some context. What you're seeing here, notice the people in the middle of your screen who are hiding there in underground caves in New York City, which have been busted wide open and are now being filled with cement as a result of discovering these really damaging and hidden caverns underneath the city of New York. Late yesterday afternoon, a wild riot broke out inside a New York City synagogue in Brooklyn. Police had to be called in. Why? Look at these secret, they're coming out of the ground. And a riot breaks out as a result of it. Construction workers showed up. This is when the riot started. So construction workers showed up and started trying to pour cement into these hidden tunnel systems. And that these Orthodox Jewish members had built. It's illegal. And you're not allowed to live underneath. Look at that police officer. He pulled up a taser. He's like, you guys got to get back. They're trying to fight the fact that they're now going to uncover what's perhaps in these tunnels. Is it just people? Is it just they're using it to traverse the area?
I was wondering if it was because I don't know if you know this, but in a lot of those Jewish communities, they will tie a rope from one house to the other because they're not allowed to leave their house on the Sabbath. But they're thinking as if the rope is attached, it's not technically leaving their house because it's still part of it. So maybe they were trying to attach these tunnels so that it was still connected to their home so they could leave on the Sabbath.
Maybe that's, and if that's what they're saying. Also, the Daily Mail was saying, well, no, they built these tunnels so they could sneak into the synagogue during COVID lockdowns. But that doesn't make any sense because we now know that these tunnels were constructed about 6 months ago. So it has nothing to do with COVID, has nothing to do with lockdowns, trying to sneak into a synagogue because you're that devout. That's how the Daily Mail was trying to portray the story. They're so devout that they just built tunnels. They had to get to the synagogue. They had to get there.
It's pretty terrifying how many stories did we see last year of buildings collapsing,
right? Apartment
buildings collapsing. I don't think that's safe.
Well, yeah, I don't think it's safe either, but we do know, there's so many things we don't know right now. Why were they building these tunnels? The dispute, the New York City Police Department was called in because these construction workers showed up. Who called the construction workers? That's what I'd like to know. Number one, who called the construction workers to show up in the first place? And were they filling in cement on the streets? Because on the streets, you could actually see some of the caves. You could actually see some of the tunnels from the streets. So is the city trying to do some routine maintenance when they uncovered this? What the hell is going on here? So then as you make those, we got the videos here.
Videos of people. Yeah, walking on the sidewalks of New York, and you can see holes and see down into what appears to be tunnels.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. And then, of course, you see the individuals coming out of the holes in the ground out on the streets under hidden entranceways that were being hidden by newspaper holders, where you get the free daily circular or whatever. So they're sliding them out of the way over a grate.
You can't make this shit up. You cannot make this shit up. Now, when I said I had something strange to show y'all, did y'all think it was this strange? You got Amalek crawling out of holes in the ground. You got buildings collapsing because they're digging out from under the foundation. It's crazy, but this ain't really the suspicious part for me. This is just some wild shit. But when we get further into it, y'all gonna see what I mean. And I just want y'all to remain circumspect, especially if you're out there in NYC. Watch out, because you don't know what Amalek is up to. We know how he likes to, have his fun with oral circumcision. But you know what? Never mind. I'm not even gonna ramble. Like, share, and subscribe.
That has a hole cut in it, and they're climbing down into the holes. There you go. Look at that. It's an example of one of them. It's hidden behind this newspaper bin that's there. It's insane. It's really bizarre. And then, so members of the Shabbat Lubavitch have been digging tunnels under the synagogue at 770 Eastern Parkway in the Crown Heights neighborhood of Brooklyn, and they've been doing this for many, many months. Now, the website forward.com is coming forward and reporting that it was designed to reach an abandoned woman's mikvah, or ritual baths. Now, this is according to forward.com. The website said the tunnel had been dug to expand the synagogue, although it was unclear how they would actually do that by expanding the synagogue under the ground. The tunnels were discovered back in December, and then the synagogue's leaders called in a structural engineer then to assess the damage of it. And then the cement mixers arrived to try to fill in these tunnels, and then that's when a lot of these young Orthodox Jewish men reacted, started ripping away the wooden walls. And then when they started ripping away the wooden walls, you started to discover some really troubling things behind the walls. We take a look at some of the, well, as you're seeing the footage here, but what's behind the walls is really bizarre. Like this high chair, like children's high chairs here, like children's high chairs in back in these rooms, these soiled children's mattresses, these soiled children's mattresses.
Oh.
A lot of people, so again, we have a lot of questions. We don't know, why are there children's mattresses hidden in these tunnels? Soiled children's mattresses. Why are there children's high chairs in these tunnels? We don't know. We sure would like answers, though, and I hope there's an investigation. Vice News, though, many years ago did an investigation, and this goes back, so when we talk about this, these child rape assembly lines, as the Vice News article had covered this back in 20, let's see the byline on that, 2013, the child rape assembly line. And a rabbi at the time walked in on one of these bathhouses and saw the absolute unbelievable, disgusting, horrible stuff that was happening to these children in these bathhouses, and blew the lid on it. And of course, then there was a number of arrests in Brooklyn and a number of arrests throughout New Jersey. So I don't know if you guys remember the corruption and the arrests that happened in New Jersey, but it also swept into Brooklyn. So here's a news report from 2009, just to light a fire in your brain. And I don't know that these tunnels now today are in any way related to that. But when you find children's mattresses and you find high chairs, one has to wonder. Here's the news report from 2009. Take a look.
These were arrests on a massive scale. Amongst those taken into custody by the FBI were city mayors, politicians and religious leaders. The authorities needed buses to cope with the sheer scale of the operation.
New Jersey's corruption problem is one of the worst, if not the worst, in the nation. Corruption is not only pervasive, it has become ingrained in New Jersey's political culture.
It's thought that religious charities controlled by prominent rabbis were used to launder cash. The arrests were part of a 10-year operation that uncovered money laundering on an international scale, as well as corruption and the sale of human organs in the US, Switzerland and Israel.
The sale of human organs. The sale of human organs, people. That was a France 24 piece, and I remember it clearly because it was all over New Jersey news when that happened. The sale of human organs.
You know what one difference about that
the
is?
FBI arrested them for that. Like, this isn't like fantasy. They were arrested as a result of that. And she tags that. I mean, she's talking about money laundering, the other thing, and the sale of children's human organs. Go ahead, David.
I was just going to say, one difference of that time right there, we had real journalists back then. We had real journalists exposing that kind of stuff. Could you imagine that probably wouldn't happen today if that was going on?
No, and even actually,
it probably is.
Actually, CNN separately did a report on what was happening specifically on the Brooklyn piece of this. Again, this is where the tunnels were discovered. And so it's a very insular community there. So to get like outside reporting in here is very, very difficult in this community. But CNN, this again, a report from that exact same time talking about this corruption and what was going on in these bathhouses. Listen.
In this Brooklyn enclave, strict rules dictate just about everything the men and women of this Hasidic Jewish community do. It is home to a sect called the Satmars, who are known for being closed off to outsiders. That's why the conviction of a respected member, 54-year-old Nehemiah Weberman, is seen as so significant among sex abuse victims. He was accused of sexually abusing a young girl for over 3 years and was found guilty on 59 counts against him.
I look at this as a new era for the Jewish religious community.
Weberman was hired as a counselor by the girl's parents when she began challenging strict Satmar rules at the age of 12. He denied any abuse. His support from the community was so strong, a fundraiser was held for him that was met with protests. The Brooklyn district attorney charged 4 men in June with trying to bribe the victim, who is now 18, to keep quiet with $500,000. They've pled not guilty. The district attorney praised the woman for her courage in coming forward. This trial also went beyond sex abuse allegations, and it exposed practices of an insular community known for its secrecy. And among them is the use of so-called modesty councils.
It's just kind of common knowledge in the community that these squads exist. You hear about them from when you're very little. They're touted as a means to get people to behave, like you better behave or the Vad Hatznius will come after you. So we all know that they're there. In fact, they almost attain a sort of mystique and just sort of communal fear.
26-year-old Deborah Feldman grew up in the Satmar community, but broke out as a young adult and wrote the book Unorthodox, a memoir about growing up in Williamsburg.
Ostensibly, what modesty squads are looking for is forbidden music, forbidden books, forbidden magazines, forbidden internet access devices like computers or smartphones. They're looking maybe for love letters or for photographs.
Feldman hopes the verdict will prompt others to speak out about abuse without fear of retaliation. Others in the community remain convinced Weberman is not guilty, and his lawyer plans to appeal.
So again, what's the connection here? There's a long history in this community of this type of abuse, and then when you see soiled children's mattresses and high chairs in these tunnels, and you have a history of this type of abuse and neglect, we would like to know more about it. That's what we're asking here. So hopefully we will get some answers. And now with these 11 arrests of these individuals who were in these tunnels in New York City, hidden in these tunnels, and they were arrested by the NYPD, maybe we will learn something about it.